Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR Halacha. And here's a brand new halacha for you. And it's for Sunday, 19th day of March, 21st day of Adar. Here we go. Today, I'm going to have the task of just explaining to you what the word Gebrokhts means. If you know it, you might want to tune out. Oh, just listen, just for a fuller explanation. Okay, here's the deal on it. Do you eat Gebrokhts? We do. We don't. I don't even know what Gebrokhts is. Let's clarify. You see, when matzah is made, we want to be very, very careful, of course, that it never turns into chametz. So the water is put together with the flour. It's kneaded very quickly and then quickly ushered into the oven. Once it gets into the oven, then all leavening stops, and we're not worried anymore that the matzah could turn into chametz. So we want the whole process to go quickly. Water hits flour, kneaded very quickly, straight into the oven, and boom. And then you could kind of sort of relax and not worry anymore about your matzah turning into chametz. But let's say there's some uncooked flour that remains in your matzah somewhere that nobody's noticing. And that flour just hangs onto the matzah somehow and no one's noticing. If that matzah then comes into contact with water, or warm water in your soup or something like that, so what can happen is that flour together with water can turn into chametz, and that's a problem. So some people are strict and some are not. Some people say never let your matzah come into contact with water, because if it does, there's a chance that some flour there could turn into chametz. And other people say, oh, you don't really have to worry about that. There's not a whole lot of flour that hangs on top of the matzah. And so they are not worried about it. So those people who don't eat gebrokhts, it's just a custom. And that means they say, I don't eat any kind of matzah that came into contact with water. So they won't eat matzah balls. They won't break up matzah and put it into their soup. Some of them won't even let their matzah touch the table just in case drips of water are on their tablecloth. And the people who do eat gebrokhts say, my rabbi says I don't have to worry about it. My matzah was well baked, and I don't have to worry about my matzah turning to chametz because there is a speck of flour on it. And so they will happily make matzah balls, and they will have matzah dunked in water, matzah in their soup, and all kinds of things like that. All those people who don't eat gebrokhts can have no matzah meal with water in any of their products or anything. And so every time they make like a Pesach cake or something, it has to be made with stuff like potato starch instead of matzah meal. Those who eat gebrokhts happily make cakes made out of matzah meal, which can be ground down into something that almost resembles regular flour. So they can make themselves cakes that can almost resemble rolls, and it's fascinating. So the people who eat gebrokhts are happy making matzah balls and all those kinds of things. The people who don't eat gebrokhts don't do that at all. But what's important to realize is that if you do eat gebrokhts, no one says that your food is not kosher. They just say, I have a stringency in my family, we don't eat that. But they're not calling your food not kosher. They just have a custom to not eat that kind of food that you're eating. I, for example, if you want to use me as an example, we don't have that custom in my family of not eating gebrocht. So we happily have matzah balls and cakes made with matzah meal and things like that, and we're not considered less religious. It's just that custom doesn't exist in our family to have that stringency. Some people have this stringency, and so they won't eat those foods at all, like matzah balls or cakes made with matzah meal. If someone says they don't want to eat at your home because you're having gebrochts and they're not dissing your food. They're not saying that you don't keep kosher. They just have a strict custom and they're trying to keep to it. So don't be insulted if someone won't eat your food on Pesach. Some people don't eat anybody else's food on Pesach because of stringencies like this, but they're not insulting you and they're not saying your food isn't kosher. Thanks for logging on. I hope that was clear. If it's not, please do speak to your rabbi about it. It's an important detail, and it's important not to be insulted. No one's calling your food not kosher in this situation. Thanks for logging on. Log on again tomorrow for more. Bye-bye.